Welcome back to the Sugar Freedom Office. I am Catherine Best Gordon. I'm going to be answering some Q&A, weight loss Q&A. I am on Quora. If you go on Quora, I'm there as Catherine Best Gordon, Catherine with a C, and I answer questions mostly on weight loss, weight maintenance. A lot of the questions that are coming in right now: how do I lose weight fast? How do I lose weight with no loose skin? How do I lose a lot of weight? And trouble with maintenance. And I had a question on my channel here and talking about maintenance and following the Sugar Freedom Plan. The interesting thing about maintenance, what I have found, is that what works to lose the weight tends to work to maintain the weight. And what I do is, when we talk about sugar freedom and reducing sugar all the way from, I'll take you through it step by step. Step one, reducing sugar, processed foods, reducing grains. Step two, eliminating all added sugar and all added grains, the rice, the beans, the pulses, eliminating all of those, and then even going ketogenic. So that would be the next step. And then the next step down from there would be working with the fat, staying at 20 grams of fat a day, but working with the balance of fat and protein, maybe a little bit higher in protein, a little bit lower in fat, doing a little bit of quantity calorie management if that is what you need to keep maintaining or to keep things going. And then finally, the last step in the process, which I did 3 years ago and which I've been doing recently, which is just going animal foods, going full on carnivore, or what I call AB keto, which is animal-based keto, where you're really pulling those carbohydrates down. Right now, I'm eating about maybe 10 grams or less of carbohydrates a day, including everything, and feeling really, really good. But I want to answer the questions that are coming in on Quora and answer this question first. So, maintenance. If I'm finding that I'm struggling with maintenance, what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go back to the way the program worked before, what was working best. And I call it firing on all cylinders. So there's 4 issues, and it's in Keep the Change, Catherine Gordon. This is on Amazon, the ebook. Thinking, eating, allies, and movement. So thinking is your goal setting, your goal planning, your meal planning. What do you want? Why do you want it? You're thinking. You're eating, obviously, the diet you're going to follow. Your allies and your accountability. So it can be hard to go it alone. So you've got allies here, you've got me. You may have groups on social media, on Facebook, friends, family. But most of all, if you want to get allies who are people who are trying to get lean and healthy themselves, then certainly you can find people like me on YouTube or go to Quora. We're happy to answer your questions. And then the M, so it's team. Thinking, eating, allies, and movement. And if you want to lose a significant amount of weight, if you want to keep it off for good, especially if you're over 40 or 50 or beyond, you're going to have to hit those 4 keys. You got to turn those 4 keys. You're thinking, you're eating, your allies, and your movement. But the most important thing, the most powerful effect, comes from eating. It comes from the food that you're going to eat. So you really have to think about, what am I going to eat? How much am I going to eat? And how am I going to prepare it? If I am either in a situation where I want to lose some weight quickly, lose fat, not muscle, or I'm trying to get off of a plateau, or I'm dealing with maintenance, trying to keep that weight off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the most effective version of my eating plan that I can find. So I want to share 2 things with you. So when I got really lean, when I'm doing, bikini shoots and things like that, I really was paying attention to, number 1, really good training in the gym, doing supersets, and I'll describe some of the supersets in a little bit. And then also just really keeping that good, solid focus on what I was eating. So I will give you, for example, I did keto gains back in 2017 and got marvelously lean. I was really excited about the level of leanness I got, the weight I got, the size that I achieved. The one thing that was very difficult, though, is that it included a 5-day split. I was literally weightlifting 5 days a week, which was a little bit much for my lifestyle. So I did make some changes to that. But I did find that that nutrition plan, the original nutrition plan that I got when I was doing keto gains, worked really well. And so it is ketogenic because it's a maximum of 20 grams of carbohydrate a day, but a little bit of a change in the protein to fat ratio, a little bit higher in protein, a little bit lower in fat, and I found that it really did help me to lean out. I had to manage my hunger a little bit more. When I'm full on keto, when I'm carnivore, I really don't think about my hunger at all. It's almost as if food, I get almost like an indifference to food outside of meals, which is really cool. But this one really did make me lean. So if I was on a plateau, if I had a special event coming up, I might definitely go to 100 grams of protein a day, 80 grams of fat, and 20 grams of carbohydrate. Now, I am a very small person. I'm only 5'1", so that totals out to 1,200 calories a day. If you're a man, if you're a taller woman, if you're a little bit taller or bigger, you could add about, more grams of protein, more grams of fat, but you would not add any more carbohydrates. Does that make sense? We're staying in that ketogenic range, 20 grams maximum of carbohydrate, and then we manage the protein and the fat. So once again, those macros are 100 grams of protein, 80 grams of fat, 20 grams of carbohydrate, spread out throughout the day however you would want them. Now on this question, looking at Omad, what I would say and what has worked well for me, although I have done Omad before and found it effective, but what I have found really super effective, especially for keeping energy up during the day and not having obsessive thoughts about food, I find that 2 meals a day absolutely works fantastic. And I prefer breakfast and lunch, and that just seems to work for me. But remember, a lot of years working in the theater where even when I wasn't doing 2 meals a day, I was still eating at 4:30 because I had to be at the theater by 6 and get ready for curtain at 7 or 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So it just works for me to eat 2 meals a day, 1 in the morning and 1 at lunchtime. All right, so the next one is, the question is, I would like to share with you the gal who asked me about, she has homecoming on Friday and she's got homecoming coming up. And so she's a young person. So I'm not going to recommend to a young person, I'm not necessarily going to, certainly not going to recommend carnivore, but I was willing to say, this is just what I would do, but ask your doctor before you do this. And what I suggested to her is more of a conventional sugar-free ketogenic diet, but that all of her vegetables would be pretty much green vegetables that grow above the ground. And I find that if you have a special event coming up, what you're really looking for is to get rid of any bloating and inflammation. And what can work really well for that is when you stick to that kind of like what we call like the green face diet. If it's green or if it had a face, you can eat it. Really sticking with your proteins, which would be, your chicken, your fish, your beef, maybe your pork, and then the green vegetables that grow above the ground. And so you'd have a couple of eggs and some green vegetables at breakfast, a salad at lunch with your protein, and then a salad and a protein and a cooked vegetable at dinner. And this is what I would do before I turned 50, before I went through menopause. This was what I would do if I was getting ready for a photo shoot or an audition or something, a very special event. 3 days, really getting the skin anti-inflammatory, glowing skin, just really feeling good, and of course flushing any inflammation so that you're at your tightest and your best size. Because what I have found is it's pretty hard to, if you've already been training and you've already been eating right, to really lose significant amounts in just a week or a couple of days. What we're seeing very often when we see somebody go off of sugar and grains for the first time, a lot of times you'll see that 5-pound weight loss in 3 days, but that generally is coming from people who are getting off of the sugar and getting off of the grains the first time. So those are the questions on dealing with maintenance. I do want to say that when we're talking about long-term big-time maintenance, big-time weight loss, the most important thing and the element that I absolutely had to add, and I had to add for my clients in order to get the results that they wanted and to keep them. So much of it was about the training, and it was trading cardio for resistance training and high intensity interval training. And the most important thing keep it simple. And I can put some of these are up on my website, which is catherinetraining.com, that the foundation of a transformative fitness program, I believe, is supersetting. And all you have to do is 3 different supersets 3 times a week. So often what I'm seeing is people trying to train or trying to exercise every single day, really putting the pedal to the metal every single day. And I have found that just if you're doing your resistance training, you've got those 3 supersets 3 times a week, that you can really go into your training session feeling good, excited about it, not dreading it. It's not going to be too long. It's not going to be too complex. And you can focus on excellent form and progression, if you can, in the weight that you're using or the number of reps that you're using. And I would just simply recommend superset number 1 is going to be a squat and a push-up, or a squat and a chest press. You'd either use dumbbells or you could use a barbell for that. Superset number 2 is going to be a Romanian deadlift and a dumbbell row. And then superset number 3 is going to be a reverse lunge and either a curl or, on the alternating days, a tricep extension. And if you're just willing to do 3 supersets 3 times a week, you're going to be at least maintaining muscle, and there's a good chance you're going to be building some, which is going to maintain your metabolism and also make that body leaner and tighter and more shapely. And this could be hugely helpful, not just for losing weight and losing fat and getting that smaller size, but then also that maintenance year after year after year. So if you're in maintenance and you want to keep that weight off, you continue to do the things that you did to lose the weight in the first place, and you go ahead and you tighten up that diet, you increase some focus and intensity in your training. And then finally, on top of that, if you add interval training on top of that, if you add a couple of Tabata sessions a week, that can also keep that hormonal balance going, keep the metabolism high, and also keep the mood high. And then finally, I'm going to finish this little episode today with talking about, just briefly, and then this will be my next video, joining World Carnivore Month, which is exciting and fun, and so glad I am back to it. Started back with carnivore 3 days ago, and already I'm having weight loss, inch loss in my waistline, but the most important thing is incredible progression in my mood, less procrastination, and more willingness to do the things that I love, like these videos. All right, so that's my Freedom Friday for this week. We'll come back again around 6 o'clock Pacific next Friday, because while we're still kind of social distancing, the theaters are closed here in California. I might be at the theater on normal Friday nights, but I will spend these Friday nights with you, Freedom Friday, questions and answers about weight, fat loss, ketogenic, sugar-free, and carnivore. All right, be well, everybody, and always remember, eat for yourself.